I have a job for you.
Jeez, it's not another arc, is it?
No, not again. This time I need a full-scale home renovation.
Noah Construction and Builders is your design and build partner. We do it all, from additions and dormers to full-scale renovations. Schedule your no-cost design consultation today. Visit us online at noahconstruction-builders.com.
Noah Construction and Builders. Through dreams we design, with vision we build. Dreams we design, with vision we build.
And welcome to MuscleSport Media Live on WGBB Radio 95.9 FM, 1240 AM on your dial. I am your co-host, Joe Pietaro. Tonight, Anthony is not here, but my son Jimmy is on the line, and we're going to do this show together. And of course, Trevor behind the glass, getting it out to all of you guys. Jimmy, thank you for stepping into those big shoes of Anthony Tuminello tonight.
Yeah.
He sounds so excited to be doing a show with his pop, doesn't he, Trevor? But of course, we want to thank NoahConstruction-Builders.com. No job too big nor small for Pete and the boys over at Noah. Check out their website, their Instagram page, some really cool videos. And Jimmy, tonight we're going to discuss a bit of a topical. I think today another shoe is dropped in this, and I'm going to make a little prediction, and I hope I'm wrong, of course. Within 5 years, legal sports betting, i.e. DraftKings, FanDuel, etc., is going to go away, and there are going to be major scandals all over the sports world, not just including a couple of small guys, including huge names. And not just players, too. It's going to be a whole big thing. And I really hope I'm wrong. But we just had another thing happen today with the Cleveland Guardians. We all know the whole thing with Shohei Ohtani. And we'll get into all of that. But just do a quick recap, if you will, with today's news about the Guardians closer.
Yeah, so their closer, Emmanuel Clase, who had been among the best relief pitchers in baseball for the last 3 or 4 years, and finished, I believe, third in the American League Cy Young voting last year. I mean, that's how good he was.
Mm-hmm.
Was put on the non-disciplinary leave list, so they're not, disciplining him yet. They're just investigating him in regards to sports betting. They haven't given any real details on what they're investigating, what specific bets or pitches or games are shady, but it's a big deal. I mean, Clase, even though he might not be a household name, is one of the better relievers in baseball still. Big name, superstar level closer, and, the bad look for the league.
Yeah, and this comes on the heels of his teammate, who's a starter. He's a closer. The teammate, the starting pitcher, and the little more information came out of that one, where it was very odd numbers, like high number of bets on what the next pitch is going to be, a ball or a strike, and they're doing a little investigation on that. So just give us a quick little Cliff Notes version of that guy and what they're looking at and how that works.
Yeah, so that was Luis Ortiz. Was he a starter or just a middle reliever? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. You would know more than me, so I'm going to go with your middle reliever gut on that.
I think he's a swing man, so if he'll start and all.
Spot starter guy.
Well,
yeah.
More details surrounding his investigation when it came out about a month ago, because he had some really ugly pitches to start at bats.
Mm-hmm.
And there were also some very large bets. We're talking thousands of dollars on one pitch, saying, "Oh, it's going to be a ball. The first pitch of this at bat or this inning And, the MLB and other sports have some sort of system where they kind of flag very large, abnormal bets like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they look at footage and see him spiking a ball. It creates that suspicion and leads to this investigation. Now, it's yet to be determined if he was guilty, but it sure doesn't look good.
Yeah, now both of them are not playing right now. It looks like the second Class A is falling into the same type of investigation, which makes me think it was the same group of people placing these bets. For whatever reason, we don't know if the players are involved, but all of this is basically just going to be on the assumption. And all of this really, now that the guy in the Toronto Raptors, that came about, and all of this is really like prop bets, which if you're not familiar with sports betting, prop bets are basically stats. If this guy's going to get a hit, a home run, a double, an RBI, if this person's going to score a touchdown, if this guy's going to hit 3 3-pointers tonight, that's what a prop bet is. Not if who wins or loses the game and by how much, if there's a point spread involved. It's basically stuff. You could control any sporting event, and we can go back and talk about, there was sports scandals in the 19th century that they were able to, in baseball's early days in the National League, where there was teams that were being paid off to throw games, and then obviously the Black Sox scandal with Arnold Rothstein in the 1919 World Series, the White Sox versus the Reds. So there's a whole bunch, but the one that everybody is pointing at is the Shohei Ohtani and his translator, Ippei, basically threw himself under the bus, took all the blame on that one, and we're talking millions and millions of dollars that somebody was betting. I'm not 100% sure about all of that. Now, that was basically, those bets weren't like prop bets. Those things were like everything. Like he was betting on even international soccer and stuff. It wasn't just like sports, baseball bets where the Angels at the time, his team was playing, right?
Yeah, that was, whoever it was betting, and I might, I'm a little more charitable to Ohtani in that scenario, because that seemed to just be on everything. And I don't know, that necessarily wouldn't be against the rules for Ohtani. Any sort of Major League Baseball would. Mm-hmm. But if there's anything they can say is that you can't bet on soccer or hockey.
Yeah.
And whoever was gambling with that money, whether it was truly Ippei or if it was Shohei Ohtani, they were, one, terrible at gambling, but just betting on everything and anything they could find. And, if it was a cover-up, MLB covered it up for obvious reasons, because Ohtani being outed as a big gambler would have been a huge problem. Yeah, absolutely. And you and I were discussing this at home before I left to come here. And to me, I'm going to, I guess I'll just give like a quick wrap up of that. What I was basically saying, and I also was talking about this on my Instagram Live today, is that baseball cannot get egg on its face with Ohtani, because there was so much riding on that guy globally for the sport, not just here, but obviously in the Far East, specifically Japan. This guy might be bigger than Babe Ruth on a global scale. And I said on my show today, when Babe Ruth became the Babe, and everybody knew who he was, and he was a household name, pretty much when he once traded to the Yanks in 1920, I bet you so many other kids picked up bats and balls and gloves and started to play and imitate Babe Ruth than did 5 years before that. Japan has had Major League Baseball for a long, long time, but Sanaraya who's the home run, they call him the Babe Ruth of Japan. He was the home run king in Japan, but he only played in Japan. Now, they've had some really good players over the years there, and some have come to the MLB and succeeded. But Ohtani is on a different level. We're talking about an icon, generational guy that even non-baseball fans know who he is. And I think he's such a big part of the growth of the sport in Japan. And you made a good point that even though Ohtani is still kind of young, he's had an effect
in his home country that's even we've seen in MLB. So why don't you give a little bit about that you and I were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen the Ohtani effect. You know, the last 2 off seasons, big young Japanese starting pitchers. This past off season was Roki Sasaki. The year before that was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Both of them signed with the Dodgers primarily because they wanted to play with Shohei Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make money. You know, they're going to have more ads, more eyes on them both here and back home in Japan. And they just want to be around him. He's a hero to them. Even though those weren't guys who were kids when Ohtani was coming up, they were already older and already into baseball. But he is still already a hero for Japan and Japanese baseball players and fans. And, you know, that effect is only going to grow over the next 10, 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. And he is Jimmy, I am Joe. We are on WGBB Radio, MuscleSport Media Live. We're talking about some gambling scandals and Major League Sports. But this portion of MuscleSport Media Live is brought to you by Angie's Empanadas, 2-time Best of Long Island winner. Their food truck has built a loyal following all across Long Island. Traveling to events and farmers markets, owners Angie and Mo bring their mouth-watering flavors to hungry customers. Their commitment to high-quality, local-sourced ingredients has made them a must-try favorite. Open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at a local festival or market. Check out their website, angiesempanadas.com, or their Instagram, at Angie's Empanadas of LI LLC, to find out where they'll be next. Or if you want them at your event, you got a block party going on, give them a shout over there. Go to angiesempanadas.com, and they'll be at your block party. But, you know, looking over, like, the things with, like you said, with Ohtani, he brings such a big presence to the game here and abroad that, I'm just, speculating and looking. It's like they've been trying to force feed a global type of thing over with sports forever. I mean, they always have NFL football games abroad. The Jacksonville Jaguars play there every year in the regular season. The World Baseball Classic, I think they were hoping that would catch on better. They actually had exhibition baseball in the Summer Olympics about 10, 15 years ago, just as a trial thing, and it didn't catch on either. But I think that they're still really trying to force feed this global thing, and then one day, because they know Japan is probably, for a while it was Latin America, but now it seems to be like Japan has been producing a lot of great players, and it seems like they have the capital and the type of environment where they're going to be able to, like, really make this something where there might be a real world, quote-unquote, series one day where they want the Ohtanis of their league to stay, not come over here. But this is, we're talking a couple of generations down the road, and Ohtani is becoming like that guy. Like you said, even guys a few years younger than him have just followed in his footsteps. So just imagine what the, all the pomp and circumstance with the younger kids over there. And I'll give you a quick example how the media in Japan and different countries in the Far East, when Kaz Matsui came to the Mets, I was still with Sportscene and at Shea Stadium in the press box. It exploded with all international sports writers and media that came to the Shea Stadium to cover Kaz Matsui. And we're talking about a guy who was a middle infielder who flamed out, wasn't even that good. But because he was like an earlier, like a pioneer almost, one of the first guys coming, there was so much media covering this guy. Now you got Ohtani, who's a true superstar. When I said he's bigger than Babe Ruth, he's not better than Babe Ruth. Don't get me wrong. The Babe is the best of all time, end of story, in my opinion. But Ohtani could be bigger only because of the way the world is now, with everything you can watch a game live in Japan on your phone. I mean, when Babe Ruth played, there was radio. That was it. So a guy like Shohei Ohtani could really make or break baseball becoming a big thing. And then, so early into his career, he just got to the Dodgers, he's played some time on the Angels, and then this scandal pops up. And now we're starting to see other guys falling in. Do you think that because it's prop bets, where it's not just, listen, let's just be honest, before it was legal, the illegal bookies were just basically taking wins or losses. They would take, there would be point spread and stuff like that, over-unders and things like that. But there wasn't props that this guy's going to get, 4 total bases tonight and 2 RBI. Do you think that they put too much control into an individual player where he could maybe just get a little greedy?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, the only way to really do prop betting before was to go to like a sports book at a casino. They had some limited prop betting back then.
Yeah.
But now you can bet on pretty much any. I mean, you can bet on the coin toss and who's going to win the tip-off in games. So it's got so out of hand, but especially with the props, because it's so easy for a guy. I mean, look at Jonte Porter on the Toronto Raptors and say, I'm going to go out there, play 2 minutes, miss a shot, and then say my ankle's bothering me or whatever it was that he said. I mean, you make it really easy to fudge an under like that, but, a guy like Porter was too stupid and was texting his friends and made it very easy for the Feds to catch him.
Mm-hmm. And this guy, obviously, I mean, he's not just his career, his freedom is at stake now as well. He's
banned from life for the NBA and he's facing prison time. I don't know what he ended up, getting. I don't know if he ended up playing to get out of going to jail, but, his career, right?
Yeah, his career's done, but hopefully for his sake, he doesn't fare worse than he already has. But to me, it looks like once, I don't know, I'll say the government, for lack of a better term, once the authorities or the government get their hands on things like this, it always is a mess. I'll give you a great example, OTB. Before OTB, the only way to bet on the horses was to go to the track or to have an illegal bookie. And a lot of people went to the track, and there was even bookies there because they may have taken different type of bets. But all of a sudden, how does a bookie, for lack of a better term, again with OTB, how does the house lose millions and millions over the years where there barely is any OTBs open in the New York area? I mean, it's a kind of a rhetorical question, but it seems to me that they just got to get their hands in on something to get a piece of it. And when they do that, they don't know what they're doing, so they mess it up. Or they're involved in it in some nefarious way. I mean, do you think with this, DraftKings type of stuff going on, that it's more than just the players that are involved?
I mean, there's got to be someone getting kickbacks. I mean, for years, politicians on both sides of the aisle talked about the evils of gambling and casinos and sports betting.
Yeah.
But then once the first few dominoes started to fall and some states started to legalize it, all of a sudden pretty much everyone did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Politicians previously had, public statements saying gambling is immoral and will never be permitted in their state. Well, now there's DraftKings and FanDuel and all these different sportsbooks operating within their state, so clearly whatever money, I don't know what, went on, whether it was a direct kickback, a donation to a campaign or one of those super PACs, but they clearly, were willing to look the other way, and you don't usually do that without a payout.
Yeah, they changed their mind all of a sudden. Now, you could say, well, when you have a DraftKings or New York Lottery and stuff, whatever, the state, and they get a piece of that money, and that's supposed to go towards the state, like fixing infrastructure and whatnot. I don't know. Listen, I'm not privy to following that money, and I'm not going to speculate. But remember when they used to say they'll never put a pro team in Las Vegas because they're too afraid of the urge that a player might have to walk into a sports book down the block and put a couple of bucks against himself or his team. That wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, that was only 10, 15 years ago, and now they have,
right, the Golden Knights were the first ones. Well, first of all, they didn't even want to play the NBA All-Star game there after that. And that doesn't even count. I mean, that's a joke. Anybody gambles on that is just doing it just for S&G, if you will. That's not a real game.
Yeah.
So they didn't want to play the NBA All-Star game in Vegas because they were afraid of bets. But then the NHL, who is always the bottom dweller of the top 4 team sports as far as getting money and biggest things, they took a chance, and obviously it was successful because the Las Vegas Golden Knights have been successful on the ice. They made the cup their first year, they won a cup, and they've only been around for less than 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, maybe close to 10 now.
I believe 2017 was their first year, 2018.
Yes,
like that.
So it's only 7-8 years, 7-8 seasons, and they've been successful. Now, has there been any scandals with them? Not that I'm aware of. So then you have the Los Angeles Raiders that moved out of Oakland. I haven't heard. I mean, there's been a couple of small little things with some football guys, but nothing on a large scale. And now you're going to have the AF, right? We joke about it at home. The team formerly known as the Oakland Athletics are going to be moving to Vegas in 5 years. They're building that stadium. They broke ground on it recently.
Yeah, and then have the Aces, the WNBA team, and I'm sure.
Yes, that's right.
The NBA team when the NBA expands next.
It only makes sense to put an NBA team there, yeah, because once you have the arenas there, it only makes sense to put year-round events there. So what all of these sports people were so afraid about Las Vegas, and so far it doesn't seem that Vegas has had a lot to do with stuff that is, stuff going on that shouldn't be going on. It seems that it's the DraftKings of the world. So
who needs Vegas? You've got Vegas.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the line of the day. Who needs Vegas? You got Vegas on your phone. That's a great take, Jimmy. Maybe that's what I'll call this episode when I post it up on the YouTube and the podcast network. But what's interesting is that they don't seem to be slowing down with this. They don't even like to talk about it. It's just all over the place. It's all over the court. It's all over the commercials. It's all over everywhere. But none of them are mentioning it. So, I mean, are they just like an ostrich putting their head in the sand on this? I'm talking about like the commissioners and so on, so forth of them.
Well, I think they put out the statement and do the bare minimum, but they definitely want to kind of wash it because fans have become jaded to it. They are bombarded with ads for different sports books and then see all this players in trouble for betting. People have very much an attitude of either A, who cares, and B, well, you did it to yourself. You got in bed with the sports books. Don't be surprised when guys are gambling.
Exactly. And over the years, there's been, the CCNY scandal, the Boston College scandal, which was mentioned briefly in Goodfellas, but it's part of the whole Goodfellas thing with Jimmy Burke that was in the early 70s. There's been scandals over the years, but for the most part, Bobby Lane, who is one of at the time in the 50s, was an incredible quarterback who had a gambling problem and got involved with the Chicago mob, and then the Lions traded him. Instead of, trying to fix the problem or whatever, they just traded him, even though he was still a top-tier quarterback. Once they found out that he had a gambling problem and he had some bad guys chasing him, the outfit was on his tail, if you will. So they were afraid he was going to throw more games to get out of debt, so they just got rid of him. So this is not anything new. This has been going on. Like I said, there was even a famous, I think it was Louisville, a team that played in the late 1800s. It might even have been still called the National Association before it was the NL at the time. They were the first team on record in pro sports that got in trouble for throwing games to illegal bettors and stuff like that. And of course, Arnold Rothstein was the one behind the Black Sox 1919 scandal. We got about another minute left, Jimmy. How do you want to close out? Do you have any suggestions, or do you think am I completely out of my mind with this 5-year thing I'm talking about?
I think I agree with you on that. I think within the next 5, maybe a little longer, eventually it's going to all come crashing down. I mean, I think there's going to be too many high-profile players across multiple leagues who get caught, and it'll end in a huge scandal, a la the Mitchell report with steroids, where there'll be players and commissioners and sports betting people testifying in Congress. And I think it'll all end with sports books going back to Vegas and casinos and the underground world, if you will. I can't imagine that this keeps going on indefinitely.
I totally agree, and that was a interesting topic. Unfortunately, we got to leave it there. Jimmy, thank you so much for covering for Anthony, calling in and giving me a little partner to talk sports with. That's going to do it for us on this episode. WGBB, we will see you guys next Monday. Bye.
Noah, I have a job for you.
Jeez, it's not another arc, is it?
No, not again. This time I need a full-scale home renovation.
Noah Construction and Builders is your design and build partner. We do it all, from additions and dormers to full-scale renovations. Schedule your no-cost design consultation today. Visit us online at noahconstruction-builders.com.
Noah Construction and Builders, through dreams we design, with vision we build.